Hello, 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 and welcome back to the topic where we highlight Houston Community College, our students, our programs, and our reach into the community. I'm Dr. Darin LaMar Baskin, and today we're going to jump into a topic that I so appreciate the discussion that's going to be around this topic. It's the digital divide. The digital divide has existed for decades. However, we have started to realize the impact of that divide since the pandemic, which was COVID-19. HCC, however, has responded by planning out these digital access centers across the system. On October 24th, at the Coleman College, their center will open. Congratulations, Coleman College. And with us to talk about it is Dr. Diana Castillo, who is the Chief Operations Officer for Coleman. Hey, Diana, how are you?
Hello, Darin. How are you?
Hey, doing well, thank you, and welcome to the show. So tell us about Coleman College.
Well, Coleman College is the unique and premier health sciences college for the Houston Community College District. We boast 23 professional programs. Let me just kind of give you a background. A student can come here and prepare for an associate degree and easily graduate within 2 years if they stay on track and make $90,000. I mean, not all of our programs offer that opportunity, but certainly most of our programs do.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. And I posed that question because I think it feeds directly into the discussion that we're going to have today. So with having that piece of information, give us an overview of what the Digital Access Center is going to look like at Coleman.
Certainly. Well, I want to back up first and start and just kind of remind our viewership. During COVID, colleges across the country began to receive funding from the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund, known as HERF. This served as the catalyst for colleges to create new opportunities to enhance that digital divide that you referenced earlier, Darin. And this is typically for our students in underserved communities. Our Board of Trustees committed a generous portion of HERF dollars to enhance digital access for students. The key ingredient was to bring parity across all HCC campuses, or at least designated HCC campuses. At Coleman, we're delighted that we're getting ready to soft launch our Digital Access Center. And this center has been designed to help students fully participate in a digital society. So what does that mean? The addition of the Digital Access Center includes on-site learning with laptops and tablets that are available for checkout, Wi-Fi or hotspot accesses, charging stations, pre-installed software geared to health sciences programs, etc. And that's kind of a quick overview of our Digital Access Center. In terms of what is the intention of the center at Coleman, I'm happy to describe that.
Yeah, and actually, see, you're right ahead of me. Diana has jumped out and she has become the host. Hey, I like it, Diana, because that was my next question. So, but before you jump into that, let me ask you this. So, as you stated, the programs that are at Coleman, the students that are at Coleman, and just having that access to these digital centers, it's going to change how the programs at Coleman operate because it's going to put that access center in the middle of the medical center. I wanted to make sure I bring that out because I think that's important. But yes, can you go tell us about the intention of the center at Coleman?
Thank you. At Coleman, just so that our viewership understands, our students come from very long distances, and they have very long days while on campus. They must meet numerous responsibilities. Not only do they have to attend class, but they also have to complete clinical labs, both on campus as well as off campus to their assigned destinations. They've got simulation assignments that have to be completed. Sometimes our students need quiet spaces. They need to be able to collaborate together on an assignment. Our center was designed to provide that welcoming environment and experience. Students may bring in their snacks, prepare for exams, relax from their daily stressors and those long drives, seek support if necessary, check out laptops if needed, etc. I mean, believe it or not, sometimes their students are running fast, taking their families to their destinations, schools, etc. And sometimes they forget their laptops. And so this digital divide will help them conquer that. I mean, no longer do they need to worry about that. Once they get on campus, if they need to check out a laptop, it will be available. We've also created these great private group study rooms that have additional technologies built to them. All the student has to do, we've already outlined the doors to those rooms with an SQR code. The student can simply log with their phones and ask for that room, and we will quickly make it available for them so that they can study in groups and learn together.
I think that's amazing, Dr. Castillo, because what we have learned is that students work better together. And if you give them the space to be able to work, they typically do better, which is why the cohort model of learning actually is successful. And so you mentioned just early on about the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. And we know that telemedicine was the main source during the pandemic. And so those two things is, I know is part of the decision to bring about these digital access centers, especially at Coleman. So in about a minute, tell us how important it was to get those funds from HERF and how important it is to have this at Coleman.
Yes, Darin, absolutely. Telemedicine became very important during COVID, during the COVID pandemic. And as studies began to test various hypotheses related to telemedicine, the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund saw this as an opportunity. I mean, it was a no-brainer that technology plays an important role and continues to be a critical tool to mitigate medical services to everyone. The use of technology for instructional delivery, as you know, Darin, surfaced to the top, and faculty had to quickly pivot delivery to an online platform. Mm-hmm. And those early adopter faculty were ready and poised to do this, but other faculty have to learn those new technologies and learn how to apply them in order to continue to provide access to students. And although this was an important catalyst at Coleman, we had to reopen our doors right after the pandemic surfaced. Why? Because in a health science environment, there are hands-on learning experiences that require other technologies. Let me give you some examples.
Well, Dr. Castillo, let me interrupt you just 1 second, because you've given us so much information, and we want to make sure that the viewers have all the information that they need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide them information to be able to get in contact with the Coleman College to learn more about the programs and more about the digital access centers at the end of the topic. But let me say, we are amazed at what Coleman puts out. We're amazed at what Houston Community College does. And I think this digital access center is just another key point to that. And so we're going to take a break, and we will be right back with more on the HCC digital access centers.
Absolutely. Thank you, Darin.
Thank you.
At Houston Community College, we make your lessons matter. Open the door to real-world education, where passions become careers. Find out more at hccs.edu and let your success take flight.
For more than a year, we have kept you informed with more than 500 remote episodes. But now we're back, bigger and better, with more news and more guests. Join us live every weekday at 10 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube, and on HCC TV at noon and 5 p.m. You can watch from anywhere. We go where you go.
Welcome back to the topic. We're still exploring HCC's digital access centers. Right now, we're joined by one of my favorite people here at the institution, Amanda Guerrero, who is the Director of Instructional Support inside of the academic instructions. Amanda, how are you?
Doing great, Darin. Thank you so much for having us today. Very excited to be talking about this topic.
Oh, yeah, we're excited about that. So give us your vision of what a digital access center should look like.
That's a great question. So I would be remiss if I didn't give proper credit where credit is due. The idea of digital access centers came about from our current chancellor when she was our president for our online college, Dr. Margaret Ford Fisher. And she had charged Mick and I to basically come up with an idea that would help fill the digital divide that you and Diana had been talking about. So the vision that was portrayed in this charge was a space designed for students and community members so that they can come in and use not just the space, but the technology, equipment, anything electronic in nature. And this was designed for our students. As Diana had mentioned, we have group study rooms, and we're already organically seeing students come together with their classmates to study. And this really enhances the learning experience when students organically form learning communities. So it's a beautiful thing to witness, and one of the highlights of my work. But we also have laptops, webcams, headphones. All of this is available for checkout in the centers. Our students can bring in their own devices, or they can use the devices that we have there because we have several Wi-Fi access points within the centers. Students can print using Eagle Print. And we also have instructional support representatives who are physical individuals there who can answer questions related to the use of technology as it relates to students' coursework, or as they're studying for maybe their GEDs, or they have questions with Canvas or Eagle Online.
And you did a masterful job of explaining that, because you actually led right into my second question. So I'm going to ask you this, because you mentioned something and I think it's important, and I want to spend about a minute talking about it. I think the important thing that I pulled from that is that there's going to be someone there, a physical person there, for a student to then be able to go and talk to and have access to talk to them about technology, to help them to navigate the technology. I think that's very important.
Yeah, it most definitely is. If anything, we had talked briefly about telemedicine and all of the things that came about from the COVID situation. I remember businesses were physically shutting down and forcing individuals into positions where they had to, say, pay their bills online or do a telemedicine appointment. Well, what happened in some of those communities across the metropolitan Houston area where individuals may not have had the resources at home, or they didn't have Wi-Fi at home, or they needed some assistance. Maybe they weren't used to operating the computer equipment, and they really could have used an individual to help them navigate that process. So some of these things are what we're hoping that these digital access centers will help to fill for the future. Now, a lot of businesses are reopening and doctors are physically seeing patients again and things of that nature. So, that's wonderful, but you never know. If anything that we learned through the COVID situation is that we were underprepared back then for such a situation. And this is a way to address us being prepared for any future ones that may arise or occur.
Right. And I think you hit the nail on the head. The preparation for what could happen, and to actually ensure that our students have the pieces that they need to be successful. And so let me ask you this: where are these digital access centers going to be located, and when will they be available to use? We already know Coleman is opening there. Congratulations.
Yeah, so the centers, we had the majority, I would say about 80% of them had soft openings last Monday. So the centers themselves are available for use. We are working out the logistics with the checkout system right now. So laptops and things of that nature should be accessible, we would hope, by the next week or so. by the end of October, we can anticipate all the centers to be open. And as for the locations that we have, there are 10 access centers in total. So bear with me as I go through them. We have one at Alief Hayes. We have one at Alief Bissonnette, Coleman, our East Side College, Felix Fraga, Missouri City, North Line, North Forest, our South Campus, and West Loop. Yeah.
That is a great list. And what I like about the list is it hits every area that we service as an institution. So congratulations on that. So let me ask you this. In about a minute,
Okay.
what are you most excited about at these digital access centers?
What's not to be excited about, right? No, all joking aside, I'm just really excited to be able to provide the support services that are designed with the 21st century learner at heart. These spaces are incredibly user-friendly, and so much thought and consideration had been put into how do we create really engaging, active learning spaces that could help students and community members with all needs, whether they needed a little bit more of a quieter space. So you'll see furniture that is padded and might be high with little pods where individuals can sit in and independently work. And then you'll also see in some of the centers like a cafe booth where they could sit across the table from some of their classmates or another person, and they can work collaboratively. You've got your study rooms where you can pull in groups of anywhere between 4 to 8 individuals, and there's really large monitors on the screen. And I had seen a couple of our A&P students working on just the skeletal structure, and they had not only models in front of them, but they had it up on the monitor with the physical pieces that they could turn around and look at in a 3D model. I mean, some of this stuff is just state-of-the-art technology, and you get a really welcoming vibe when you enter into these centers. It really offers so much for our community and for our students. And I sincerely hope any of our students who are future students who are trying to obtain their GEDs, that they come into the centers and use the centers while they're studying, because Houston Community College is here to help, and we care about their success, whether they're finishing their GED or going on to pursue an associate's degree or certificate program. Houston Community College is here for you. I
could not have did a better close, because I think you hit all the major points. And I do want to say that when you mentioned like a cafe, that just brought me back to a good Starbucks location where you can do everything that you need to do all in a clean environment and get to know other people. So Amanda Guerrero, it has been a pleasure talking to you. I love interacting with you. You're so amazing. When we return, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of the digital access centers.
At Houston Community College, we make your lessons matter. Open the door to real-world education, where passions become careers. Find out more at hccs.edu and let your success take flight.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
Things could be stranger, but I don't know how. I'm going through changes, through all of the strangeness. I'm going through changes now.
Welcome back to the topic where we're exploring HCC's digital access centers. We're now being joined by a friend of mine who we have shared spaces together. That will be Mick Stafford, who is the Executive Director of Library Services. Welcome, Mick.
Well, thanks for having all of us on. I think you got a good representation of people that have been pretty intimately involved in a project that's been going on for an awfully long time, and we're happy to start seeing some soft openings and maybe some ribbon cuttings down the road. So we're pretty excited.
Oh yeah, and what I've heard and what I'm seeing, I'm excited for you guys, and I'm so happy that they were able to put this brain trust together to put you guys in the same room to even come up with this idea. So this is amazing. So we've heard in terms what the centers are. What specific resources are going to be available for students at the centers?
Well, sure. Well, Access is our middle name, so obviously we thought a lot about that. We thought a lot about Access, and really Amanda and Diana really kind of highlighted some of the key resources. I mean, I could tell you there's going to be 15 laptops, but the fact is there's laptops, and I think if we go behind what the resources are about, the various types of spaces, we packed a lot into like a 2,000 or so square foot space where we have literally zones where almost anybody who needs to do a particular type of work, or the staff need to work with students in a particular type of way, we've created a space that we're going to be able to execute those types of things. Our students are really going to be able to almost pick their own way to use a space. And I think the laptops we're hoping are going to be a beginning step to the students being able to do that. We've been so wedded to the desktops, and there are desktops in our digital access centers, but the idea and notion and maybe embracing a little bit more of going with a laptop model and knowing that our students, not all, because there is that digital divide, can use a laptop, and they really can make the space their own, work where they want to work. And they kind of do that now, but this space is designed with that in mind, and that in the forefront, that the student really, like I said, they get to pick their own journey, their own pathway, if you might, to how they want to use the space.
I love that, Nikki. You took it right out of you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, this fits right in line with where the college is going, which is personalized learning. So, and it personalizes the student's experience, even in the digital access centers. I think that's amazing. And I think that once the centers have been open for a while and then they're able to prove that this is a successful model, then I think you can expand even more and have more laptops and more activities. And so with activities, tell us about some of the activities that will be available at the access centers.
Sure. Well, we are just opening, so we're all kind of watching people a little bit and seeing how they're using the space. So I think a lot of it is kind of hypothetical, because as I'd mentioned, the spaces aren't really super large, but they're super packed with a lot of different ways to use the space. And so it's almost going to be like this is a reimagined space to some of our library and even our tutoring spaces. I think we're going to have to reimagine what programming and activities might look like in a space that you might have to think on a smaller side. So I kind of envision more like, I think this is going to be what our students are going to do, and we'll watch them how they use the space. But I think we're going to see more like pop-up type programming where we see an opportunity, a tutor sees an opportunity, or maybe where somebody's struggling with something, or 2 or 3 groups of people are struggling with something, they might be able to hopefully maybe use a different part of the center to take them through a learning session on something that they need. And they just come and they talk to a staff member, and we say, all right, this maybe this space, this portion of the center works for this particular activity. So we're going to hopefully grow with our students and how to use a space like this. And I like what you're saying. We incubate a lot of ideas at HCC. And I see these spaces as a real incubator. Like, we're super excited about A-Leaf Hayes because that's actually inside of an existing library space. Well, if this model works well, and we see the benefits and we see how we can provide different types of activities. So we're kind of in a little bit of a wait and see. But you know what? We're always looking for opportunities. And I think these departments and Coleman and tutoring and libraries, we're always looking for these opportunities to see and expand on what we have been able to do.
And again, just like our other 2 guests, both Diana and Amanda, you have dipped into your knowledge and your expertise and have answered my questions that I had coming up. And so I just want to say I believe in the sanctity of giving students a space and allowing them to explore and then allowing them to build that space to meet their needs. I wholeheartedly believe that. And so I appreciate the approach that you guys are taking to even be inclusive with this. And so tell us, Mick, in 30 seconds, what are you most excited about for the Access Center?
30 seconds. Wow. So, just excited to have the spaces open. I'm always excited to see what the amazing people that work at HCC do with something, as a kind of a servant leader. And I think you see 3 servant leaders in this kind of situation is we get them something and we get out of the way. We do some of the drudgery work that goes into a project like this, and we step aside and we let our fabulous students and our fabulous staff really get in the center of this and take things. I'm so excited to see what they're going to do and how they're going to run with these spaces and where this might fit into a bigger type of thing and movement that HCC can have. I think these spaces are going to be super successful, and we're going to obviously have to document that. And we're excited about doing that too and telling that story.
Hey, that is a perfect ending to an amazing topic discussion of HCC's digital access centers. Thank you for joining us on the topic. I want to say thank you to my guests, Mick Stafford, Darin Castillo, and Amanda Guerrero. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for your vision of the HCC Access Centers. For more information on this, you can visit us at hccs.edu/podcast. And for the topic, I'm Dr. Darin LaMar Baskin. We'll talk soon. No, I'm good with that. 30 minutes is good.